Hey guys, with the help of a friend, we just muscled inside the blonde RCA color CTC5 I picked up earlier this year. Winter is coming, and I don't want to leave any of my nicer sets out in the garage. The main issue being that having large variations in temperature and humidity is not great for the wood cabinets. The finishes can start flaking off. Electronics, not really so much of an issue, but I also want to start poking around with it. The chassis we removed before we brought the cabinet inside to lighten the load. I've gotten some comments, or at least from one of you, that I'd be surprised how light the chassis was. I'm not sure what you're getting at, because it's one of the heaviest, largest chassis I've ever tried to muscle around, and I almost dropped it twice bringing it inside. So at least in my mind, my experience with the sets I've worked on, no, it is not light at all. So that's on the base. We'll take a look at it in a moment. What I wanted to point out here right now is a little bit more about the picture tubes. This is a 21AXP22. It's a metal cone CRT, but it's behind this plastic housing, so we can't actually see that metal bell. But it's similar construction to the black and white metal cone CRTs, so that metal will be energized with high voltage, which is probably why they put this plastic shroud around it. Now, unfortunately, this is from the mid-50s, which is the era in which they used a type of plastic for the yoke enclosure that does not hold up well over time. It degrades, it kind of crystallizes, it becomes weakened, and eventually just falls apart. Now, since I can pull the chassis out and work on it, and I don't have a cataract to deal with, I don't see myself needing to do anything with this, and it's intact right now, so my hope is that if I don't mess with it, it'll be okay. I don't mean there's any kind of coating you can put on it to stabilize it. What I've seen guys do where it's really bad, you got to rebuild it with something. Plastic stock, 3D print, find a plastic container that's close enough in size and modify it to fit. Otherwise, everything looks pretty good up here. Let's go take a look at the chassis. And here she is. The tuner is hardwired. Everything else is very modular, with lots of plugs, yoke plugs in there, IF, for example, a plug for the speaker. So I was able to unplug everything. Stuff plugs in there, except this guy. Now, I think there's a way to mount this to the chassis. There's a pretty obvious looking thing here, and it seems like that would fit into it. But I haven't quite figured out with these cables how to do it. You can't do it like this, because then this smacks into the power transformer. It would have to be twisted around this way, but the wires aren't long enough. I think maybe I just gotta figure out exactly. I probably gotta twist it around. Maybe it can go down like that. I don't know. I'll figure it out. But that's why this is here. And when it's in the cabinet, it mounts on the side, and the channel clunker sticks out the side of the cabinet. So that's that guy. It's fairly conventional design. The main chassis, though, that's a bit different from, well, I've taken, I shouldn't say it's completely alien to me, but it's different than I think of the sets I've restored, but I've parted out some sets with this construction technique that RCA started using in the 50s, which is circuit boards. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 boards that I can see. There's probably a fifth one underneath this cover. What I'm curious about is how are they wired underneath? Like if I take out these screws, can I unplug them and then work on them? I'm guessing not. I think they're probably hardwired. You can see wires going in here. So for all you Predicta haters, I mean, everybody was going into circuit boards in the 50s, and they're not always so easy to work on. So we shall see. Might be a board under here too. And inside this is the high voltage box. Took a look inside when I got it. I don't quite remember how this goes, but I'll pop it open in a second, show it to you. So what I want to do is tip this thing on its side and see what is going on underneath. I was also curious about the kind of caps that they used It looks like they're paper. I think this is just a little too new for plastic film caps. I think those came 2 or 3 years later. So all these need to be replaced. Got a few can electrolytics here, a couple over here, and a whole mess of tubes. I've heard these are straightforward to work on. Just do your basic recap, check the tubes, check for out of tolerance resistors. What I'm not sure about, as I said, is the construction technique and how those boards are to work on. So let's first take a look inside this, and then I'll figure out a safe side I can tip this up on, and we can take a look underneath for the first time. Oh yeah, it's coming back to me now. There's a very long screw in there you have to undo, and I think I actually already did this when I first got the set. And there is the somewhat intimidating looking flyback. Now, if that's bad or if it goes bad, these are not easy to replace. That's some white chalky deterioration on the plastic insulation. It's probably not a big deal. Likewise, this cadmium plated chassis, and it's got a bit of a green patina from corrosion. So when we get to it, we'll clean this up, examine it, check for continuity and all that stuff. Right now, let's take a peek underneath. Alright, here we go. It's clean, very clean. Don't see any side of repairs. Like I said, the few repairs I've seen all were done topside, so it's very likely nobody's ever been under here since this was made. So as far as these boards go, yeah, that's what I figured. So they're screwed in, that's easy enough to take out, but they have stakes on the underside and wire wrap. Just like a Predicta, only the wires are wrapped underneath instead of on top. So if you wanted to take this board out, you'd have to undo all those wires. They're all wire wrapped, and then some are soldered on top of the wire wrap. Make note of where they all go. Unmount the board, do your thing, remount it, reconnect everything. That sounds like a crazy amount of work. So you got to work on it in place, which means clearing the deck, because this is huge, and then looking between top sides. So I clip that cap out, come lower decks, figure out which two pads those are, take the part out, put the new part in, solder it in, some of which are a little, the lugs are a little hard to get at because there's wires in the way. You don't want to melt them, of course. So nothing I can't handle. Plenty of other people have worked on these. Just looks like it's going to take a while. It's going to take a while. But I don't see anything scary. Nothing's burned up. Nothing's missing. Nothing's been torn out. Nothing's been chewed on. So the biggest concern with working on this, we know we have a good picture tube. It's some of these transformers, these coils, would be a little hard to source if they were bad. Not the easiest thing to service. Back topside now, yeah, if you route the cables around behind the power transformer, you can fit the tuner into that little cutout there. It's not super stable, but it's clearly fit for it because that slot of metal fit right in there. So this will be an interesting project for sure. Also doing a little cleaning test here, just couldn't resist. I think it's going to take a few passes, but that is very promising. Back topside now, and yeah, by running the cables around behind the transformer, you can fit the tuner right into the chassis there. Clearly it was meant to go like this because the slot of metal coming out of the tuner fits right into the holder on the side of the chassis. It's not super stable, but it gets the job done. So I'm sure that's how it's supposed to go. Maybe this will be a winter project. I don't know. I've got a huge backlog, but I'm glad that it's inside and I can start tinkering around with it. It'd be cool if I could pop these out and work on them one by one, but unfortunately it looks like I'd have to get the whole chassis up on the workbench. Oh well. I'll leave you off with a little cleaning test. I couldn't resist throwing a little CLR on there and seeing what it could do. And oh yeah, we should be able to get this whole chassis shiny, gleaming metal with just a little bit of work. Alright, that's going to be it for now. For those of you who have worked on a CTC5, if you have any advice for me on how to work on this beast up on the workbench, please leave a comment. Thanks for watching.